Please stand by.
Excuse me, I'm talking.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Warning. What is your name?
I am Jay Ramone, and this is the Jay Ramone Podcast.
If the FCC knew you were doing drugs on the air, shut us down!
This gets more work done more accurately.
I will sit down with bands, artists, chefs, business owners, and fellow Oklahomans to talk about their projects and dealing with day-to-day life.
This stuff can give you brain damage.
This is the Jay Ramone Podcast.
Power of the internet is truly amazing.
This is the Jay Ramone Podcast, and I'm sitting here with legendary songwriter from Oklahoma, Zac Maloy.
Yo, legendary. Come on now. Pump the brakes.
And you are legendary. The first rock and roll band I ever got to see live was the Nixons.
Oh, man, that's so cool. You've told me that before. I love it. I love it.
You started me down this road, so it's all your fault.
Damn it.
So speaking of Ada, I ran into Kelly Kerr at an OSU game, I want to say last season.
Yep.
And he said you guys were actually working on a documentary about music from Ada.
We are, yeah, man. It's a guy named Chris Frederick approached me a while back, with this idea of, hey, would you do an interview? There's so many people that have come out of Ada, Oklahoma, in the music business, and turned into me being a producer on it with Kelly Kerr and Chris Frederick and a few other people. It's called Little Amens. That's a song of mine. Blake Shelton, guy named Jay DeVersa, who's a Grammy award-winning trumpet player, Hoyt Axton, who wrote Joy to the World and Never Been to Spain. His mother, Mae Axton, wrote Heartbreak Hotel and Jailhouse Rock. So it's weird. I mean, what the hell? Why? How did that happen? So it's kind of
all
fun.
from Ada, Oklahoma.
All from Ada, Oklahoma, yeah.
So you've kind of been busy with the Nixons. I just saw some drum tracks being recorded. Is that correct?
You did. Yeah, man. Sorry, I'm getting something on my, I'm getting blown up. I'm producing a record here in Nashville and I'm getting blown up with like, what time were we supposed to be at the studio, Zach? so
that's the life of a producer.
This is the life, man. Yeah. But, so the Nixons, we released, as you know, December. We'd sort of reimagined that song to be a little bit more Christmassy, and have a cover song. I won't say the name of it, I guess, yet, because I don't know why, but that we've played for years and years and years that we did a studio version of. It's going to be coming. And then we have 2 new original songs. We were going to release one of them, but then I came up with this new idea and sent it to the guys and they dug it. And John tracked drums last week. So I'm going to probably do some guitars to this week. Then I'll send it off to Utah where Ricky is. He'll do bass and then Jesse will do some guitars and then I'll cut vocals. So so hopefully in the next quarter, in the next few months, you'll hear some new Nixons music.
How awesome is it to be able to just send sessions through the internet back and forth and be creative with your old bandmates who are all across the United States?
No, dude. I mean, I talk about this all the time in my line of work. Yeah. I mean, it's so crazy. Back in the day when I met you, where were you? Rogers
in Claremore.
Yeah. It was like meet up at, this garage in Norman, Oklahoma and jam through songs and then try to get some studio time cheap. Like we recorded our first album, Halo, all between the hours of like 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. because it was cheap. If not, maybe it was free. Maybe they were being cool to us back in the day. But
that's
now
how you did it.
Yeah. Huh?
That's how you did it to save money.
No, that's how you did it. And so now it is crazy because John went in with Paige Harwell, our buddy, and Edmund. They tracked drums. He sent me the files, Dropbox. I'll load them up. I'll play my rhythm guitar. And Yeah, like I said, send it off into the Ethernet, and eventually we'll have a song.
So you've been busy songwriting too, as well as producing. 2 Shinedown tracks, both went number 1. Track with Dorothy, Black Veil Brides, In Flames, like all these bands that I love. Every time I see you get a credit there. Scott Stapp, I mean, you're really doing big things in Nashville.
Well, I mean, listen, man, my business, the business of being a songwriter, producer, it's so roller coaster. You know, there's maybe 6 months where I didn't have anything come out. Luckily for me, I've kind of developed some relationships that have led to, I mean, we had number one songs with Shinedown, Dead Don't Die, another one before that called Atlas Falls. And then I actually had a number 1 song with Aaron Jones called Blood in the Water. And then all the while, you know, I live in Nashville, so country music sort of seeps in by osmosis. And I've been working with a great kid named LaCade, who's just signed a deal with Big Machine Records, which is the biggest, you know, label in town.
Biggest it gets.
Yeah. So, you know, dude, again, I count myself blessed, and I got to meet Scott Borchetta one time, and he was refueling his jet at Wiley Post Airport. And my program director at the time told me that he was going to go pick up Scott at the airport. And who is this, Baker?
No, this was a different company.
Okay.
So it was different PD. And I just told him, I said, well, I'm going with you because at the time I was managing a couple of songwriters and projects. And I said, I'm totally shopping this. My one opportunity, I'm doing it. And he was like, well, I guess. I was like, I'll be your driver. I don't care. And I sure enough did. I went to the lunch and I totally shopped those artists the whole time.
Good for you, man.
Nothing came out of it, but I wasn't scared.
No, good for you. And kudos, because my whole life has been that, just hustling. Yeah. You meet someone, you say, oh yeah, by the way, I'm a big fan of that artist. You know, so I was at just a cocktail party last week and met a guy named Bob. And what do you do, Bob? I manage some artists, you know, anyone I would know. Garth Brooks? Yeah, I've heard of him. So that's so Nashville. And so good for you for hustling.
It's just the way it works. Now, I'm excited because when I first met you, obviously I was a Nixons fan, but you were just beginning your solo career. And I got to watch you as you moved to Tulsa, because that's where I lived at the time. And I got to watch you grow as a songwriter and producer, but you kept putting out these solo records that were incredible. And I can't even count how many times I've seen you play solo as well. But you're coming back to Oklahoma City and kind of doing a songwriter, storyteller type show.
Yeah, man. I love doing these shows. I can only get away with doing them probably once every year or two. I don't remember the last time I did one, but yeah, man, playing at Beam in Oklahoma City on January 25th. That's a Thursday.
If people don't know, Beam Live is a newer venue that just opened up, and it's inside 50 Penn Place on the second level. It's where the old venue was for Belle Isle Brewery, but it's called Beam Live. Really nice theater type listening room almost.
Yeah, Adam Aguilar, who's opening, told me about it. We kind of chatted, and I was like, man, I should come play a show, and you should open. And next thing I know, he's making it happen. So I'm excited. He says the venue is super, super cool. So I'm excited to do that. And I'm actually playing a show down in Dallas the next night at a place I love called Will Call. And then I'm going to be in Tulsa. I haven't played Tulsa in years, honestly. I think the Nixons opened for Smashing Pumpkins there 3 years ago was the last time. So I'm excited to play like a little mini tour. I used to rag on artists that would be like, yeah, we're playing a weekend, we're going on tour. I'm like, nah, man, I've been out for 8 months. That's tour. So I'm being cheesy now and doing no, I'm not going to call it a tour, but I'm doing 3 dates in my homeland, Texas, Oklahoma and Texas. So it's awesome. And those shows are cool. You've seen them, Jay, but I'll do some song. I had a hit with Carrie Underwood. I do my version of that, sung way less good than Carrie sings it. I'll play a Shinedown song. Aaron, I'm working up that song. I'm actually working in an Our Lady Peace song I wrote years ago. And then, of course, I'll play some Nixon songs and stuff like that. So I love these shows. And yeah, I do talk a lot.
I'm excited that your solo records and the Yellow EP and that stuff is finally available on Spotify and streaming. Because now I don't have to dig out my CD player and hook it up.
Yeah, Jay, it's funny you say that because I believe that I might be the epicenter of the age of like just complete idiot about the internet and about streaming and how to upload songs and all that stuff. But I've also had to figure it out, right? I mean, we had to figure it out right here on StreamYard, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah, totally.
What's that echo? So, but I love it. I've hooked up with some great people that have sort of helped me figure out how to get not just the Zac Maloy stuff, as you mentioned, but the Nixons. Some of those albums weren't available for streaming until very, very recently, and we still have some stuff that's not. But we're kind of constantly working on that and making it available. And yeah, man, it's all out there.
One of the things that's not available for streaming for diehard fans that you guys released at the end of last year, a live record on vinyl.
Well, that was made available for purchase, and it still is. Please go get yourself pre-order a copy. We actually we made this announcement on social media, but they're pressing it, and at the pressing factory, they ran into a problem where one of the songs was skipping, and kudos to them for catching it. But so it's a little delayed, but it's available to purchase, and it's a double live album. We've never released a live album, and Jay, you and I probably talked about this before, but like that age-old thing of people saying, "Oh, they're so much better live than their records." I hope our records spoke for themselves, and I'm proud of everything we've released. But the Nixons live is definitely a thing. Like we all we get caught in the moment on stage, and things get smashed and lit on fire, as you know, and so we recorded this show at Trees in Dallas last year. And yeah, it's great, man. And it's a double album. So it opens up and we had fans send in pictures and there's a whole collage fan made. So it's really kind of a cool thing. And again, sort of a love letter to our diehards.
What's it like being a dad now and your son as an artist?
Well, so I have two boys, and Ben is gainfully employed. Got a master's degree from Tufts University in physics, unbelievable mathematics. Stuff. He tries to tell me what his job is, and I just glaze over. I'm like, okay, yeah. My job is to figure out words that rhyme with love, and so. Jude Maloy is his writing partner and performing partner. Liv Haynes is badass. She was in a band called Not Your Girlfriends that actually played some shows with the Nixons.
And Warped Tour and Bowling for Soup, and
managed by Jarrett from Bowling for Soup. So now Liv and Jude are a Simon and Garfunkel, and they've released a bunch of songs. And Jude is a really talented kid, great voice, and studying music at NYU. So cool.
Yeah, he's definitely paid his dues and learned the craft and all of that. And I've got to see him grow, putting out songs on his own, and then now with Liv. And I think it's really awesome.
And you've played, dude, I should just take this opportunity to just, again, cheese out and say, Greg Zubek played the Nixons on the Cat, 90 years ago, I think. And here you are playing my son on your show that you do, amazing, supporting local and local adjacent expats like me and my kids. So thank you, man. How long have the Cat's just part of the DNA.
Since 1976, they've really championed the local music scene here in Oklahoma and given bands a chance. And I'm just lucky that they let us continue to do that.
Really good stuff, man. Good for you. Good for the Cat, and good for you for keeping it up.
Well, the episode where I first played Jude's track, it was around Father's Day, and it was like a Father's Day special. So I played your stuff and Jude's stuff. I played Mike Hosty and his son's band, and there was 3 or 4 others where it was father and son's bands. And so I thought that was really, really cool.
That's amazing. What a cool thing, man. Gosh, we talk about it a bunch because in the Nixons again, for diehards, they know that John's son Jackson has filled in for us on drums. In fact, for the last week of the Everclear Fastball tour we did last year, it was Jackson on drums. And Jude always makes the joke of like, Dad, if you ever lose your voice, I can fill in for you on vocals. So yeah, it's like what Kiss is rumored to be doing, right? Aren't they like going to hire the next generation of Kiss and just
absolutely?
That's the Nixons. We'll just have our kids take over for us when we can't walk anymore.
Well, I brought in a band a couple of weeks ago to do an interview for the podcast and for the local show that they just happened to email me some music, and I thought they were some ACM kids, and I'd been playing it on the show. So I had them come in to do an interview. Well, there's John's other son, Jet, who was playing bass for him, and I had no idea, so it was kind of full circle moment.
So cool. So cool.
Well, Zac, thanks again for taking the time. I wanted to plug the show at Beam Live on the 25th of January, let people know that if you want to see these songs and hear the stories behind them, this is the show to go to.
Absolutely. And I should also just say that, I've now weirdly become a little tiny sliver on the sports animal. When I hear Traber talking music, I have to text him and say, actually, Pete Seeger wrote that song, or Bob Dylan performed. So I'm the little like music correspondent occasionally. And Jim and his awesome wife Julie came out to my last show in Oklahoma City. So this time maybe
I'm going to try to get them to come out this time. I produce their podcast for them, and I work with Jim a lot.
I know,
they're just great people, and Jim needs all the help with music he can possibly get.
Well, he does need help on the music, the little contest they did, the music thing they do, but he's actually sneaky, got a great voice. Like occasionally when he'll bust out a little vocal, and I'm like, oh man, how about I get Jim up at Beam Live to sort of trade verses on, some classic rock song. So
he can really sing. That's what people don't realize. He can really sing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's fun for me. I've told you this, but clicking on, iHeart or the apps to listen to the Cat or listen to the Sports Animal. That's sort of my like lifeline back home to hear Al talking about who we got in the portal and all that stuff. So all you guys, man, it's again, going back to, the 90s when the Cat first played the Nixons. I so appreciate you guys and appreciate you taking the time today to have me on.
Thanks, Zac, man. And look forward to seeing the show.
All right, Jay, take care, buddy.
Take care.